Talkers, what's up, Gruntworks Nation? The Big Earl is always asking, why is China hoarding food? Experts say that China is hoarding a massive amount of food. They will soon have over 2/3 of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. But when asked about it, China lies. One China expert says they, of course, will never admit to something like that. Well, what does China know that we don't? When it comes to global food shortages, China is the canary in the coal mine. You see, China is the world's #1 food importer. They rely on the rest of the world to keep their people fed. So they can't afford to mess up. Or there will be riots, civil panic, or even worse, when over 1 billion people can't eat. What does this mean for Americans like you and me? 2 words: food shortages. That's why it's a smart idea to stock up on a kit of best-selling 4 Patriots survival food. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits. Hand-packed in the USA. The kits are compact and stack easily. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. And their 5-star reviews on the website rave about the flavor and the taste. Right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food by typing in the code BTTGW at checkout. Just go to 4patriots.com and use the code BTTGW to get 10% off your first purchase of 4 Patriots survival food. That's 4patriots.com. Use the code BTTGW.
What's up, trash talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
Here is a firm believer in all men are created equal, but not all men live equal. That is why there's a certain select number of people in the DoD who decided to jump out of airplanes. And yes, we are better than you. 100%. Now, don't be the first triggered pansy to say, well, airborne's not relevant. You haven't jumped since World War II. Well, that's not accurate, for one. And two, it's like having a jalopy or a 68 Mustang. Well, a 68 Mustang's no longer relevant. Doesn't matter. It's still a better car than yours. So take it easy this National Airborne Day and just accept that we are better than you.
So 2 things for today's Honesty Cat. First thing, how do all my boys from the 101st feel knowing that the Army decided that instead of actually making you airborne, they would just create a whole new division that's airborne because you just aren't cutting it? It sucks. Thing number 2, for all the folks who were like, airborne is irrelevant, doesn't even matter, they're making a whole new division of just airborne people because they're relevant. Think about that. How's that feel? Does it hurt a little bit? I hope it hurts a little bit.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to episode 146 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is Stephanie with Warrior Surf Foundation. And as usual, I'm here with Buddy and the Big Earl. Happy Saturday, y'all. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Busy.
Oh,
Chill.
Thank you
Yeah.
for asking.
Chill.
I appreciate you asking us.
You're welcome, buddy. We were worried last week when you weren't here, so we thought Nick mentioned you got arrested.
Yeah, I
But-
thought you were in
Hello,
a Mexican
Kentucky.
jail.
You
So-
boys
yeah.
like Mexico?
So
That's
I
where I
like-
was. I was in
Yeah.
Mexico.
I
Drinking.
had
I
a
wasn't
Mexican
drinking.
uncle that said, as long as you're the biggest guy, you'll get to eat. So, like, because they just hand a plate of food in there, and then you got to fight it out.
Yeah,
So,
well,
is that what it was
I
like?
I was drinking pina coladas. A lot of them. I don't care. Judge me. Don't judge me. Doesn't matter to me. That's what I was doing, drinking pina coladas and going to Mayan ruins. And you may tell you, they're all fucking ruined.
Yeah, but
Everyone.
the aliens built that.
No pun intended. Oh, you did see some Mayan ruins, though?
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
The Mayans
Yeah.
didn't build those. That I will say that Dave, I did think about Dave a little bit because there are some where they're like, well, the Mayans, like in their little ruins, they've got like little astronaut heads and this,
They
that.
do.
and other. Yeah, they don't. Like they're little, like they like to put cheetah faces over everything, and it looks like an astronaut helmet if you're from, 2020.
So you're saying YouTube lied to Dave?
I'm saying that your perception may be skewed as to what time you grew up
Yeah.
on the planet.
Yeah.
Or TikTok?
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Good thing I was talking about the pyramids in Egypt and not the Mayan ruins,
See, I've seen both, and let me tell you,
because those drawings are a little different. I don't know.
what drawings are different.
The ones in the Egyptian pyramids, they have
thought
like
you said
people
that
that are
they
wearing
were
these big
fake.
helmets.
You mean hieroglyphs?
Yeah, people wearing helmets and stuff.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
know
know.
what they had? People
But
wearing.
we're not going to talk about that today.
Dog heads.
We already started talking about it.
Yeah, well, that's not what we're talking about.
You can't triple snap and double snap.
I got this one.
I, for once, am not going to cover the conspiracy theory to start the show off. Buddy's actually going to cover it, and then we're going to discuss it, and then we'll get to our guest, Stephanie. Yeah, so, Buddy, what do you got for us today?
First and foremost, I'd like to say roll tide. Anyway,
It's like a marine who does CrossFit. Just can't help himself.
you can't do it, and as a vegan, like
Oh yeah.
also they don't know. They're always quiet because they don't know what to talk about first. Anywho, so my the conspiracy theory we're going to talk about today, it happened on December 25th, 2020, at approximately 6:30 in the morning. So I live fairly close to
Eastern time.
You know what?
Does it matter?
Yeah, I don't know if it was Eastern or Central time. I would say it was Central time because it happened in Nashville, but you never know. So anyway, a guy named Anthony Quinn Warner pulled his RV downtown Nashville on Second Ave. And if you've ever been to downtown Nashville, Second Ave, it's like the last street. It's like beside over by the Batman building, what they call it, and it's the last street before you get to the Riverside, and it is it's right down where Broadway, where everybody parties, like all the tourists come. It's all right down there. Anyway, he parked his car down, or his RV down there, and I think he parked it down there like 5 hours before. Anyway, it sat there at 6:30. After a bunch of warnings started going off, telling people to evacuate, it exploded and did quite a bit of damage. Now, the FBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, all of them did like an extensive investigation. You don't really hear much about it. You haven't heard much about it after about a week after it happened, but they concluded that Quinn Warner was not a terrorist and had no political, or there was nothing he was trying to gain with no political means. There was no nothing else. He was just crazy. He was a crazy man, a lone bomber that wanted to kill himself, but in an impactful way that people would remember him. Ironically, they don't talk about him at all. Nobody really talks about it at any point. That he was just kind of a weirdo computer nerd who had a 5G conspiracy he was a 5G conspiracy theorist that didn't like 5G. Now, this crazy conspiracy theorist
He blew up AT&T, right?
by
Was it
himself,
AT&T?
hold on,
Yeah. Oh,
by
I mean,
himself
AT&T's been lying about 5G for about 2 years now. It doesn't work.
blew up well, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, what you think it's supposed to do.
But I'm not
You
going to
don't
blow up AT&T.
You could just be out here
I
zombieing.
I just switch carriers.
I'm just saying. But anyway, so this crazy dude blew up. Well, he damaged 60 buildings, displaced 400 people, 1,000 people lost their jobs. Exactly one person died, and that was him. And he did it in generally the most populated area of Nashville. So we were supposed to believe that this insane dude who had nothing going for him did all that. Now, that's the physical damage that happened. He also took out most of the cell phones, 911 services, AT&T, closed down Nashville's
Airport, right? Yeah.
Memphis's airport was impacted. The 911 centers were impacted from Kentucky all the way down to Atlanta. AT&T and T-Mobile cell phone operations were impacted from Kentucky all the way down to Atlanta. There's one dude acting by himself with one bomb, did all of that, but we're also at the same time supposed to believe that he was absolutely insane. Now, personally, I saw the picture of this dude when I was like, that's weird. He looks similar. Chris is going to pull up the picture of. So to me, he looks strikingly similar to another conspiracy theory that happened about 60 years ago, which I don't know if it really means anything, but to me, they look alike. I was like, man, he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald's brother. Like, they could be related. Like, anywho.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, maybe
yeah.
nephew.
I don't even know about nephew. Maybe he just aged well. Don't ask me. Lee Harvey Oswald was pretty young when he was when he assassinated JFK, which was just another giant conspiracy theory also. And then you got this guy who did his thing. Now you haven't heard of him. You haven't heard of anything. And I don't have an actual theory about why he would do it. I just think that all of it together is really weird. And I would love to hear what you guys have to think about this, or what you guys think about it. I know Dave's looked at it a little bit.
I'll let our guests go first. We always
Stephanie, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. I don't know
you didn't even introduce anybody.
I know Dave
didn't even introduce anybody.
Dave had one job today and he fucked it up. So
what are you talking about? I introduced Stephanie at the intro.
Everybody. You didn't introduce
Stephanie. You didn't say
I did. I mentioned her. I sure did.
Conspiracy. Yeah, I mentioned her. Hey,
thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. I did. Thank you.
Yeah, Stephanie, what's your take on this? What happened? What's going on in Nashville?
Real introduction after.
I don't know.
You have to earn your introduction here.
The ears are different. I mean, one ear's got the full lobe connected, the other one doesn't. I think that's a genetic thing. Like,
wait, what? Go back. I didn't even see that.
Oh, she's paying attention.
Oh, snap. That is a genetic thing.
Done deal. She's probably CID or something. What's your MOS in the Navy?
Everyone in the Navy is a submariner.
Okay, Chris, you can go back to we got it.
Thank you, Chris.
Fuck you, Chris.
He's on top of it. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Muffin fingers.
So just some crazy dude is your take? It was just some crazy dude? Yeah.
Probably. I mean, so many people out there that are losing it.
That's why you go off land.
Yeah.
Just you rather deal with sharks instead of people. So
yeah.
Sharks tend to leave people alone too.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I looked into it briefly after Buddy had mentioned it, and I guess I'd have to do a little bit more research, but I would like to know what else happened on that day because, like, you just
Well,
mentioned all the way to Atlanta, like AT&T, like that's pretty significant. So, like, what other thing? If this was a cover up, and let's say this was a, some sort of government agency, and then like you mentioned all those buildings, I was under the impression that it was just AT&T building. But then I did go on TikTok, and TikTok's always true, right? And they
Absolutely.
did mention there was like a 3-letter agency building right on that street as well. Then they mentioned something about a supercomputer in that
that's the
area.
one that's the thing. His RV was parked right by said computer. Plus the wave propagation for the explosion. It was in between. It's in an alley, so an explosion of wave propagated out and like directed the explosion towards some buildings. Got a little bit worse than others because of and one of them that got it a little bit worse was the AT&T exchange, their telephone exchange server that's right there. Now if I looked into it a little bit more across the country, there were like that day there were like 5 other even in so in Tennessee there was a guy driving around in a rental panel van that had a very similar recording supposedly to the one that was in. That guy got arrested and was only got $500,000 bond. And then there were 2 other RVs that got searched but that was in the entire country. One was in like there were 2 states pretty far away. Yeah, but
Yeah, Tim in the chat says how real quick, buddy. Tim in the chat says how he had to know the building. Oh, now I got to scroll.
Says how did they know the
the
building was the main network for cell towers? Those are normally not public knowledge.
Public knowledge.
Right.
And then Isaiah is saying a breach at that level would be targeting the critical infrastructure of the region, possibly a probe attack, but still very revealing. Okay. Yeah.
And
Oh, no, and then there was like another one.
We got
Go ahead.
exciting. We got 2 people commenting on YouTube. If we get like 2 more people that comment on YouTube, it's a freaking record, right? So,
Yeah, please like and subscribe.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And Kent. Oh, we got 3 people watching. All right, 3rd person comment and invite a friend. All right, so Kent Mason says veterans are overpaid. Veterans love to be too paid to sit home and do nothing. Okay, Kent, appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, YouTube. Yep.
And then thank you for commenting.
How did we end up in your algorithm?
Yeah, thank you for comment. Well, thank you for commenting, as that helps our algorithm. So appreciate you. Appreciate you giving us more money because we are paid. So thank you for commenting and getting
Smash
us more money
that like button
for sitting around and doing nothing, Kent. Yes. Appreciate it. Yep.
Before I hand it to Nick, and then I saw something with a rocket supposedly. Long story short, I think that there's definitely something behind it. I don't know if it's a government cover up. I don't think it's like anybody from a foreign country. I do think that there's more to it, and we were trying to hide something, and that's what led to it. Because I read some other stuff. Lizard people is what he was trying to kill, and he was like really batshit crazy. And supposedly his girlfriend or his wife told the police that he was making bombs, and they went to his house and he didn't let him in. Like, that's a red flag, bro. You're about to get raided, like, instantaously. So like, it was just, I think there's a government cover up on this one. I don't know what it is.
I
but
see what you're saying. Hey, buddy, you left that shit out, so Stephanie couldn't comment on that either. You didn't talk about that. You gave us a lot of bullshit white noise details, and now we're starting to get into what really happened.
It's a conspiracy on my part.
Conspiracy guy, okay?
That's a conspiracy on my part. You got me.
At least this is your first time, so you can learn from it and get better.
What I don't understand is he's so crazy. He thinks lizard people are living in Nashville.
Did we cover lizard people already on this show?
But he's also
we covered him
enough that he builds a bomb that blows up fucks up 60 buildings, blew 20 of them up that they had to be destroyed. P.S. It was another thing I left out. There were a lot of those buildings were like the building itself. They had to tear a lot of some of them down because the building was worth like $50,000. The land it was on was worth like 2.5 million. So the land is worth way more than the buildings. There's another whole avenue of conspiracy there, but the thing that I have an issue with is this guy is so crazy. He thinks that they're lizard people and 5G is going to take over your mind. But he's got his shit together.
Oh, he's kind of right.
He perfectly plans a precise attack on a building using an RV that has no collateral damage other than material possessions.
And what you just said, that's what I like what Tim said in the chat, which those main towers are not public knowledge. So I'd have to look into that, but that's very significant if that's the case, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What's your take?
Again, for the audience, first time watching, thank you. Got Scott saying, what's this show about? Scott, we don't know either. Okay. Welcome to the dumpster fire. No, this show is about surfing, but we're just not there yet. Okay.
We're going to get into that.
We'll get to that later. Yeah. We would have started earlier, but the Navy person was late. We won't say who that is. Stephanie. But anyway. Yeah. You know, again, those of you watching for the first time, thank you. I am the big girl, and I always go last on these. Like, I have to explain it because I'm the smartest one in the group. So they usually wait, you know, let me get all the information before we talk about it. This is 100% insurance fraud. All right. Because you know, you blew up, you said it was AT&T, right?
Right.
No, like 60 buildings, 60 of them.
But
the main source, AT&T.
AT&T. So I have AT&T. All right. And the 5G is absolutely horrible. Okay. So obviously what they didn't work compared to the other cell phone carriers. So they need a fresh start. Now, do you think AT&T is going to go into the bank and like spend another $3 billion to fix their stuff? No, they're just going to get some crazy guy to blow it up. Right. Blow it up.
Insurance fraud it is.
Right. So here's how the board meeting went the next day. How many buildings? Who hired them? Wait, you put a staffer on it, didn't you? Right. And now they're all yelling because some staffer hired some wacko and they blew up the building. But so yeah, 100% insurance fraud, not a conspiracy, right? AT&T is getting paid, gonna build new towers. I do want to cover the last time I was in DC a couple of months ago. I literally get there and turn on the news and the house exploded that the cops were surrounding. And it looked like a cardboard box just in the middle of a neighborhood, right?
Myth.
Nothing. Not like a 5-minute news story on it. So how much coverage of this actually happened? Did it ever make it national other than like a blurb of like a bomb blew up? Was there ever like an investigation?
Oh yeah. It was a big deal for 2 days, 3 days.
A day or two? Yeah.
It was also, I will say this, it was at the beginning of COVID.
But still, that's pretty significant that there was only coverage for a day or two. So that makes me want to think that there's like more of a government tie to it. Like whatever we did, it happened, and now we're done with it. You know.
And it was yet another thing that happened in Nashville that had a.
But that's pretty significant. 60 buildings. That's just like you know.
Yeah. In a huge downtown, like very expensive, very populated, like people live there. They had
and nobody died except for him.
They had time because of the warnings that he put out, like on his little thing. They had time to evacuate the people that were on the street and get them out.
Crazy dude, so smart to be able to do all that. Well, I mean, smart and crazy is pretty similar, you know, like if you think about it. But
and he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald except for the ears.
All right.
Well, but you know, before we get to the guest, you know, his buddy hasn't been on the show for like 3 months. We don't know where he's been.
Probably more like 6.
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Yeah. Like I said, Mexican jail's tough. But Stephanie, just so you're tracking, we open it up and everybody watching, wondering what the hell we're talking about. You know, we open up with a conspiracy because we like to like have that old barracks talk where nobody knows what the hell they're talking about, but we all think we're right. So like kind of get the juices flowing and the guests kind of laughing, which I think we achieved. because I did see a couple smiles come out of Stephanie. All right, buddy, it's your turn for your honesty cap. We have not had an honesty cap.
Whoa, hold up! I don't. That was me. That was all me.
That was it.
That was
That was
it.
good. That was good. That was good.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That's your honesty cap.
Yeah, we'll give our guests more time, and we're good. We're good. Yeah.
Dave fucked me here then, because I did the conspiracy, right? Like I traded out. Like I don't do all the jobs. Like
I didn't know it was a trade.
If I'm working at McDonald's, hold on. If I'm working at McDonald's and I'm the
I
Big
worked
Mac
at McDonald's, by the way, so careful.
If I work at McDonald's and I'm the Big Mac dude, and all of a sudden the hamburger guy calls out and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to go do hamburgers." I ain't doing Big Macs and hamburgers. I got enough energy in me for one thing, and I did the conspiracy. And we had triple the amount of comments on YouTube because of it. So
no, we're not there yet.
Am I saying it's a coincidence? Causation, correlation,
bell curve. Who knows?
Is that what? Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. I'd say he made his case. I
will say
I do have to agree with our producer though in the chat thread there, where he's like, wasn't Buddy just saying that he's tired of carrying everybody and now can't carry everybody? Like you can't do two things at once. Like,
first of all, that wasn't on the live portion of the show, so shut up, Chris. Stop being a bullshit. That doesn't even matter.
But awesome.
Good to have you back, buddy. Good to have you back, brother.
I will say Mexico is lovely. And it was delightful, and you should go. It was,
we'll be there in July.
Considering what's happening, in certain places, it was funny. The irony of me going to Mexico as opposed to the flip floppy.
Well, it's not okay. We're not gonna get into that. We're
gonna
do
that next week.
Okay, let's see here. One day I aspire to work my way up to fries. Hey, Isaiah from YouTube again. I worked at McDonald's. All right, and
was that yet another
Isaiah?
YouTube?
Yeah, they put me.
Isaiah.
They put me on the window to talk to people, and that lasted for about 5 minutes because they realized how sarcastic of an asshole I was talking to people on the window. Right, so like,
hey, I got a question for you, Nick.
Yeah.
You worked at McDonald's in Wisconsin.
I did.
Does cheese just come on shit there? Is it?
Yeah, it comes with it.
It's not like you want a fucking quarter pounder with that.
That's New York. That's New York. It's like oh yeah, or you'll want some cheese.
You want
there.
Fucking
don't you know? Like
cheese, cheese. You don't want cheese on it.
Yeah, I mean cheese comes with the chocolate shakes too. It's disgusting, but it's Wisconsin, so you have to do it.
Yeah, well,
but anyway, I get the distinct privilege, seeing his buddy did not come prepared for this show whatsoever. I get the distinct privilege of introducing Stephanie Dasher. So again, in the script, Stephanie, I spent about 2 minutes on making that script. I don't know if you actually read it. Did you get it? So the truth is, go ahead, say again.
I skimmed it.
Okay, you skimmed it. I was reached out to by Stephanie's team at the Warrior Surf Foundation, and they said, "Hey, Stephanie's been down in the dumps a little bit because she wished that she was Army, and that she signed up in the Navy, and things, she's trying to make things work, but she would like to come on the show and like kind of pretend like she was in the Army." And I said, "You know what? We could do that, and we could include her, and then probably maybe talk about the Warrior Surf Foundation a little bit. Not quite sure." But Stephanie, welcome to the Dumpster Fire. Talk about what you did in the Navy and talk about what you got going on in Charleston, South Carolina, which is gorgeous, by the way. So
yes.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. My husband's actually in the Army.
Smart. Yeah.
Was in the Army. I did try to join the Army. I thought
scored too high on the ASVAB.
Maybe that was part of it. Yeah. I went in there and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a pilot," and I knew nothing about flying, but I Googled it and I took the flight aptitude test. I missed it by 1 point, and the warrant officer come in here and be a pilot, and I was like, "Wow, this guy's a jerk. I'm out of here." So I joined the Navy.
I saw Top Gun. I
play video games. I actually don't.
Yeah.
But
so what? Yeah.
Go ahead.
What'd you do in the Navy?
So I was a nuke ET in the Navy. I was on a submarines. They let women on submarines when I was in.
Everyone's a submariner.
Everyone wants to be in.
There's only 3 jobs in the Navy: fighter pilot, Navy SEAL, submariner.
That's it.
That's it. That's every not a single person swabs or whatever a deck. Nobody mops a damn thing on the aircraft carrier. They're all like, yeah, well, I was a fighter pilot.
Everyone mops everything at all times. That's all anyone's ever doing. That's what music with people with like a broom and a dustpan just cleaning up. Because that's what's really happening.
I mean, to be fair, I think that's all military branches, that and lawn maintenance. If the average U.S. citizen knew how much the government paid to have grass cut, they would be upset. How much time and effort was spent on making sure that the growth rate of grass was maintained in a orderly manner, they would be upset. They'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Be upset about our last deployment, Nick. Well,
your
not
last
my
deployment.
last one.
You quit
Yeah.
being a warrior way before we did. So yeah.
Happily retired. My knees are still functional, but anyway, yeah. Back to the guest. So go ahead, Stephanie.
So let's go. Let's talk about this. What? So Navy. Then what happened?
Retired?
Say that again.
Did you retire? I read your bio, but for the people that are watching, yeah.
A little smarter than that. I got out after 5.5 years. So my husband, we met when we were really young. We've been married for 17 years. He was already in the Army when we met and got married. He was at Fort Lewis. He deployed to Iraq 07, 08. And then when he came back, we had our dogs. That's not, you got somebody still hitting the deck every time there's a loud noise. And then also a newborn baby, which is a little bit chaotic. So I chose to get out. And eventually we ended up moving back to the East Coast because we wanted to be closer to family. Tried Ohio. It was too cold for me. I said we lived there for one winter. Yeah.
For sure. I lived there for 3 years.
So then we ended up in South Carolina, and my husband was trying a bunch of different things. We had a couple of kids at that point, and he was seeing a lot of different therapists and stuff like that. And one of his therapists mentioned Warrior Surf Foundation, and I was like, heck yes, I love the water, obviously. Like, let's go do it. And he was like, no, abso-freaking-lutely not. I don't want any part of that. And I was like, cool, I signed this up. And so I went out there, and the guy that actually founded it is a Marine veteran, and he hated him immediately. My husband was like, I don't like these people. They suck. I don't want to be here. These people are vetting me. Like, get me out of this place immediately. And I was like, no way. This is really fun. And I could see that it was working. Like, he's very athletic, but he obviously sucked at steep learning curve there. And that athleticism for him really drew him in. And so he kept trying to surf because he wasn't good at it. And I tried it a few before he met. So I had a little bit more schema in it, and that drove him a little bit nuts too. And so he kept showing up begrudgingly. He would go and kind of hate it. But then over time, these layers sort of began to unfold. And I was like, oh, holy shit, this is magical. And I asked the founder, I was like, hey man, I'm a nerd. You guys have pavers on the beach. That's weird. Let me help you. And so he did. He let me start helping, and then they couldn't get rid of me. So here I am today, making sure people's paychecks get paid and we can get veterans in the water.
Yeah. So explain that a little bit with what exactly, for those watching, and what is the niche there? Do they, because we have a lot of nonprofits come on the show and explain how they help. And to those of you watching, again, you might think you know what's best for maybe yourself or other veterans, but you really don't. It's a complex system, and there's lots of ways that veterans can go vet, go try things, go do things. Talk about the surfing aspect. Like, what's the draw there, and how have you seen it help people?
Yeah, so I'm a big like abundance mindset person, A, and B, we know that no one organization can do everything. So we know that there's certain veterans we're the right fit for and some that we're not. Those veterans could be as young as 18 years old, active duty, or they could be 75 years old and have little to no hearing. So it doesn't matter, it runs the gamut. Our program is 12 weeks long. We have a graduation requirement. So to graduate from our program, you have to do 8 wellness coaching sessions, which I call secret therapy, and a yoga one-on-one and 3 group yoga sessions. I also tell all of our veterans on day one, it's ridiculous for me to say it, but yoga is not just for tall, white, skinny women. It's really powerful.
Oh, Buddy does yoga too. He's in.
Yoga. Our mental health warrior, he's a short, fat white guy. He does yoga. Yeah, Cliff, I call you short and fat. Get over yourself. All right. So yeah. Cliff's actually really good shape.
I do. I don't really do. I do competitive yoga, so it's a little different. I'm probably the best. I'm the best in my region for.
See that? Touched my toes. No big deal. Can you touch your toes? Didn't think so. Score 1 for Buddy.
Just saying, guys. Did you see how that was cold? That was a cold stretch.
That's because you were a Green Beret. All right, but hey, back.
I don't like to brag.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about my language. When we talk about competitive yoga, I get a little bit fired up. Just saying.
But okay, so that cool with the yoga and the graduation thing. But yeah, what have you seen? How have you seen it help people? And is there any type of data, what's the draw, hey, this is what most people say when they leave here as opposed to what they said when they got here?
Well, I think the draw is there's a couple different angles that we meet people where they're at. One is community. A lot of veterans self-isolate when they get down, when they're struggling with stuff. So being in a community of people that have experiences, it immediately creates kind of a safe space, even if you hate it. A lot of our veterans will come to us. We might be their last resort. They've tried a bunch of other things. When my husband was afraid to leave him at home alone. I didn't know what I was going to come back to. So I'd always leave a kid with him because I'm like, well, if I just leave him with a little bit of responsibility, maybe things will be okay. And, I laugh about it now, but it wasn't a laughing matter for us back then. And a lot of our veterans are struggling with anxiety. They're struggling with depression, all the things that come along with PTSD before the military. Can be things that happen during, could be things that happened afterwards. And that safe space then allows them to dip their toes into our wellness curriculum, which uses positive psychology, evolutionary psychology. And really what that's saying to the veteran is really where we're seeing the medical community come to now, which is hey, these experiences happen to you and your body's response to it's actually really normal. It's supposed to do it. It means that you're firing on all cylinders. And now we can take that information and we can reframe it. So for instance, you're hypervigilant and you're really freaking stressed out about being hypervigilant. So that's affecting the rest of your life because you're like, why am I like this? Well, we can reframe that using some of these tools to say, okay, you are hypervigilant. That's the thing. Let's just notice that exists, because what that means is if you need to protect yourself or your family, you actually still have those skills, right? And so we don't have to be on all the time. We can let those things soften and fall to the wayside because they will be there if we need them. I don't know if that's making sense for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it makes complete sense to us. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's a complete holistic approach, holistic health wise. Yeah, I love that. Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry. I know you were about to say something.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw the water aspect out of it.
Oh, yeah, good.
Because I am a huge fan of the beach as far as for like my mental health, and I live where there's no
Same
water
here,
in El
dude.
Paso. I
Yeah.
live here in El Paso. There's no water, but a lot of sand. So, but I like there's just something about when you're on the ocean, and I look at it as respecting the Earth's power, and I got that opinion when I was stationed in Hawaii, and I think they called it the Yeti or whatever when the big waves come in on North Shore and Waimea, like they not Waimea, the Big Rock, North Shore and the Big Rock, but like when they hit, it shook the ground, right? I mean, it was like it was like there's some serious power out there, right? And like it's pretty impressive. So what would you say about that as far as what about the actual surfing? It's like
Yeah.
Go with that.
Yeah, great book called Blue Mind that talks about the power of being near water. And it talks about how we kind of sync up to the rhythm of the ocean. And we'll get people in the water who they don't want to talk to anybody. And all of a sudden now they're comfortable and they've reached a flow state. And so now they're beginning to open up to our surf instructors and our wellness coaches in a way they wouldn't have otherwise. So there's this sense of peace that comes along with just being near the water and that rhythmic flow. And the other piece of the puzzle is you have to be so present to surf or you're going to get wrecked. And we're going to laugh at you because all of us have gotten wrecked before. If you're not paying attention, you're going to take it on the head. And so that forces a lot of people to be right here, right now, when many times they've spent years time traveling into a past that no longer exists and a future that they're making up. And after doing that and after practicing that, you learn how to into your daily life. And the other piece of the puzzle is you suck at surfing in the beginning. Everybody does, unless you're a surf director and he just kind of makes everything look really easy. And sometimes you want to lock him in a closet, but it's hard. And that failing over and over and over again in a more supportive community until you're successful is so powerful for finding your sense of purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a great lesson in itself. Yeah, when we talk about the water aspect, which you brought up, and I'm trying to remember the foundation that we had that takes people fishing, and he was dying of cancer, and we had him on our show, Nick. Buddy, maybe you remember, and he went like they told him like there's nothing, like he's gonna probably pass, but then he went by a lake, was fishing. No, he got a massive donation too. I'm not gonna talk about that, but
from
talk
Texas.
about walking,
yeah,
walking barefoot, being by the water, and like that being connected with the water and everything, and how it just like healed him, and everything was, we call it crazy, but like it's a thing, like that is my piece too. When I'm by the ocean and I'm listening to the waves and I'm just by the water, I feel like so energized. I'm like good to go, and it's always funny. I always say, I don't have a hangover at the beach. It sounds funny, but it's true. Like on my beach vacations, I'm like, I just feel like at peace, So
that's the part where we hit the disclaimer that says that going to the ocean while therapeutic does not show signs of curing cancer. Like,
yeah. Well, obviously, but that story was pretty relevant to what he did. I'm not saying it obviously, but that story was pretty relevant to like what he did and everything, like with nature and everything. We don't know if that's what it was, but it is scientifically proven, like she said, that there's a big connection between our bodies, like the water in our bodies, to the ocean as well. Like the full moon affects you or some people. Like,
no, that's not scientifically proven. That's just a theory. Like you're talking about Mercury.
It depends on who you ask, right?
A lot of crazy women believe in that, and there's some crazy men. But
I believe in a lot of that.
Mostly
like a full moon.
Yeah. Like oh, it must have been my Mercury Gatorade. Yeah, Mercury Gatorade. So like but we got.
I don't want to go way off topic, but you don't think the full moon affects you in any way, shape, or form? Like it affects like tide and all that? No.
I think the full moon does affect you. By the way,
if you're a werewolf,
100%.
I think it does.
Like, if you ask a nurse that works in the trauma like emergency room, like on full moons, like how many more patients they get in for like serious stuff that's occurred and everything. And I want to stick
also
with the guest,
knows-
right? This is a whole topic in itself, but I 100% think it affects you
I
in a
put it in
certain
the
way.
script. I put it in the script last week for you to totally take away from the guest, so that way it seemed normal. But I took it out this week, hoping that like you wouldn't do it. But
Nick
like,
knows that the full moon does affect you. Like, have you ever done land nav without a full moon?
oh yeah, that
That will affect you. Back to the guest. I'm so sorry.
Like what you brought up too before, but then I got to the why we talked about it. And how you said like you have to be hyper vigilant surfing, right? Because like if you're not on top of your game, like you're gonna crash. Like it's probably not gonna feel too good either, right? So like I'll make it a little selfish about myself too. Like I don't like surfing. I don't like going into the water for one reason, and that's because you go from number 1 on the food chain on land to like number 70, right? Like there's like little sea urchins that if you step on will kill you. So like nope, like not messing around and like not doing that. However, I like to play golf because I suck at it. I'm better than Dave, but I suck at it. And it's such a
It doesn't take much, so I guess you do suck.
But it's such a humbling sport because it doesn't work for all veterans and doesn't work for everybody. But just me personally, sharing my own story, is that like I always want to do well, and I want to be cocky and confident. So it means I have to practice and I have to get good at it. Otherwise, I'm just an asshole. Like I want to be good at it so I can brag and beat you at it, right? And like I get the shit kicked out of me in golf where I play all the time, and it's just like it focuses me, it recenters me. So like I didn't think about it when you said that, so that's why it made me think about other things that I was like, how do I do that? But yeah, explain that a little bit about this, just that care you have to take in the surfing, and like give us an example of like just like what is it like to surf, and then where is that paying attention, like what happens, like because again, I'm not a big surfer because I said that I see videos of great whites chasing people on surfboards. Like, nope. So yeah, talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
I mean, I think you're being a little dramatic about getting in the ocean, but
I agree. You're not gonna go boogie boarding with me, Nick, when we go to the ocean, when we go to the beach? No boogie boarding? No.
I mean, perfect. You get me drunk enough, and yeah, I'll get in the water because then I'll fight a shark. But
I didn't know you were one of those guys. Really? You're like avoid it?
I mean, I like the clear water where I can see things. Like, nope.
You mean a pool? You like the pool?
No, like the Gulf of Mexico is clear. Like the Emerald Coast. Yeah. So
yeah.
Don't come here. Can't see any water.
No, like I said, I'll sit there and listen to the power of the waves because the ocean will kill you.
Yeah. Great point. The thing is, like, you don't have to be hyper vigilant. You're just centered. You're just focused, right? Like, there's no anxiety around it. It just is, here's the next thing that I have to do to get to the next place I want to be, right? And so obviously, if you're in critical waves, that sense of awareness and alertness is going to be much higher than it is where our folks are learning and the waves aren't as big. And once you take off on that wave, that first wave, and stand up, suddenly you're walking on water. You've taken all of your concentration and all of your focus, and now you have this magical moment. And you're so present in that moment that you are nowhere else but flying. And there's no other place to get that. There's no other way I know of to feel that moment. And so that's happy, is because they're so present in the moment all the time. And that's like a muscle, being present in the moment, realizing that there's not really anything that we can do, right, about what's happened in the past. And there's not anything we can do about what we don't know what's in the future, right? We can just satisfy. We can pick what meets minimum requirements instead of agonizing ourselves into hours and hours what freaking tennis shoes to buy. I'm guilty of this, right? It doesn't actually, right? It's just like you don't need the best artist brushes if you're a good artist. And so when you practice being present in the moment like that, you learn how to stop doing that time travel thing in your everyday life, and you become more effective. When we're in a flow state in our everyday life, we're actually more effective because our energy is focused on what we can, and we do that better. And when we do what we're meant to do right now better, pieces of the puzzle tend to fall in line.
How so, Stephanie? How much?
Yeah, that's spot on. Spot on.
Dave, I hate you, Dave, so much.
It's true though.
So, anyways, though, everybody.
How much of this, like, if you were to put a percentage on it, how much of the success that you guys have is the activity, and how much is it of it is the group of people that are doing the activity that kind of like feed on I guess on itself to create success in like treating veterans?
I think it's a magical mix of both. I think that's a great question. When we first started the programming, it was a lot shorter, and we would see that people didn't stick with surfing because their skills weren't as good as they could be. So that's why we lengthened the program to 12 weeks. And we also took some people who actually want to connect with other people. I had a veteran who just would get in the water. She would surf with a surf instructor, then she'd get out and she'd go home. She wouldn't connect. And now she shows up for volunteer events and things like that. And so it's really powerful to see that kind of connection. But I think you need both, right? So you need the experiential activity that puts your brain in a space where now you can rewire that network, change your perspective, and change how your sustainable community to support it. Like we're human beings are meant to be communal. We're meant to be together. And so we need that in order to be healthy.
Right. And like, so you and your husband kind of lucked out, I guess, in that like you're married, but you're also both veterans. So for people that are like, is this program just for veterans, or is it for veterans and their spouses, or veterans and their kids and spouses? Like, because I guess it probably would be easier to connect it with a community if you had, more than just yourself there, kind of like wallflowering it up for a few weeks.
That's a great question. Yeah, we did luck out in a lot of ways. And I also like to joke that I'm a study of one. My dad was in the Navy. I obviously joined the Navy. My husband's a veteran. So I've seen it from a lot of different angles. I wish when, our parents' generation was getting out of the military. And because of my experiences and of the experiences of a lot of our veterans, we decided to expand the programming to their family members, their caretakers, and their children. And so especially in the last year, we've really been pushing to get the spouses into the water as well, and the children.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good avenue too. That's a great question, buddy, and a good avenue for getting veterans to help, because again, we have one of our best shirts, because we've coined a phrase on is like get the demon out, right? And a lot of times it takes a loved one to help you get that demon out, and it takes the veteran to be honest and say that this is my demon, like owns it. And there's something spiritual about it when you share a demon with somebody. You're going to open up to them. Now, like that's going to empower them more than as well, because now you've just given them that, I don't know, call it platonic, right? You just give them that trust to where it's like, I'm telling you what I struggle with. All right. Can you help me? And it's like, maybe I don't need your help, but maybe I want you to understand it. And then you come up with, hey, let's go to this surfing place. Let's go try this. All right, let's go give this a shot. All right. Now, that being said, let's talk about what nobody wants to talk about. And yes, all you people on VTT Official, all you bro vets out there that want shit for free, okay? Yes, it's technically free for you when you go there, but that shit still costs money. Okay, so like, let's not play this. I'm a big bro vet and I love capitalism, but then hate the fact when it's not free. That's called go to China for free shit, but you ain't gonna get on no surfboard. All right, sorry, I have to yell at some people on BTT Official for always commenting about that. How much does it cost to put one person through the program?
$800 to put one veteran through the program, and that's that's a pretty good deal considering what therapy costs per session and how much it costs to get surf lessons out in the program, and also the amount of access that they have. Everyone gets a yoga mat when they join, they get a journal, and then they are able to check out surfboards and wetsuits. They have rash guards, everything that they need. We try to get that we can aboard so that they can continue surfing. So yeah, it is. It's. I would say, you know, they had to pay for it, sure, that feels expensive, but it's also, there's this opportunity to, in my opinion, change or save a life, and I think it's worth it.
No, 100%. And like I said, I put it that way because, you know, as we've been doing this for 3 years now and having nonprofits on, you know, like I said, we have to battle that, you know, where people are like, well, why does it cost so much? Well, because it does, right?
Always.
Yeah. How many people?
Veterans asking us for discounts on the shirts. Like,
Yeah,
I'm a
it's
veteran
like,
today.
but like, how
Bro.
many people is Warrior Surf Foundation able, like I said, like, so you said 12 weeks. How many classes do you run a year? How many veterans and spouses and people do you put through it? And then how do people donate to it? Because those of you listening, again, we also have the audio on a podcast that gets uploaded later. So those of you listening to this, and if you want to save a life, right, there's lots of things to donate to. So right now, Stephanie's, and I really like this approach with surfing and the way you put it. How do people donate to you? So yeah, 3-part question. How many classes do you run? How many people can you put through per class a year? And how do people donate to you to be a part of it?
700 people since we started in 2015. Every year we try to put over 100 people through the program. We start a new cohort the first Saturday of every month, March through September. So about 10 to 15 people per cohort that they come through. And then either to register to sign up for our program, because we serve people from all over, or to donate, it's super easy. Just go to www.warriorsurf.org.
Did she freeze for you guys on that one?
Yes.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
did. Chris, did you get that? Can you put that in the chat, brother?
Yeah, say the www dot again.
Yeah, so it's just warriorsurf.org.
Warriorsurf.org. www.warriorsurf.org. Okay, yeah, Chris was able to get it up there.
Chris,
Yeah.
you are the man. He's on top of it.
Right. And you know, like I said, we keep trying to get that message out to people and because you got Eric in the chat says hitting the power band on a motorcycle, it's similar to the power of surfing. And you know, Eric, that might be very true. All right. And that might be very true for you. And that's why, as the organization that we've become and who we're promoting, is there's lots of ways that somebody can heal. There's lots of holistic ways that people can, you know, change their life. And like Buddy always says this, you know, it's like you have to go do it. You have to get up and go try something. And then Dave says at the beginning, if you're expecting the same outcome, doing the same thing every day, if you're expecting a different outcome, it's not going to happen. Right. And Dave and I talked about this earlier today before the show, and Buddy said, good luck. I don't believe in luck. Right. I believe in things that happen, and who you surround yourself with is what makes it look good or bad. Right. So if you have bad thing happen, but you have a great support network around you, all of a sudden you come up from the ashes much faster than if you try it by yourself, or you have people around you who are making you go down into the dumps, right? And helping you get down into the dumps. All right. So then you just start getting angry and mad at people who are having a good time. And it's like, oh, they must just be lucky. Or they have put themselves in a position to when something happens bad, they rise from it faster. If something happens good, it excels into more good because the network around them. And I think what you guys are doing, building that network and then having that, that therapy session is what's cool, because we also had the golfers on the next 18. Not only did you get to play some cool courses, but you had to go through the therapy sessions as well. So who runs those therapy sessions?
Yeah, so we have our independent clinical social worker, who's our wellness director. And she does all our intake, assigns everybody. She does wellness coaching sessions. And then we have 2 licensed professional counselors as well who get with our veterans and do those individual wellness coaching sessions. But I totally agree with you. One of the things that the founder says, and I totally agree with, is veterans aren't victims. Pretty much all of us chose to serve. That was a choice. And we always tell everybody, Warrior Surf doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe Warrior Surf anything. You make choices. We make choices. And I hope
right. And then what
Those choices are provided us every minute of the day.
And
every minute of the day.
To not be like holier than thou. To those of you watching and listening, I struggle at times making the right choice. Right? We all do. There's things that like oh shit, but we gotta own it, right? It's not PTSD. It's a blanket term, right? But something that I like what you said about the surfing, and I keep reiterating this because I love it, is I was told by my favorite shrink that I ever had, and she got promoted, so I don't have her anymore. She's like, you had control of certain things in the military. You had control of the planning. You had control of the daily, operation tempo. Like, you had control there. You knew what was most likely going to happen. Then you had contingencies built for when those things didn't happen the right way. In fact, when you do an offensive operation, and you have a decisive point in the infantry world, you have to have 2 ways to achieve that, because it's the decisive point. So if that first one doesn't work, the second one has to work. All right. And then they even made it worse in doctrine, where you had to have 3 ways to achieve the decisive point. Right. So it's like you're always preparing for that. When you get out and what makes, I think, and what she explained to me was, veterans, trying something new, PTSD spikes in them, like anxiety or depression or anger, because you don't have control about what's about to happen. Right. And so, I see that with the surfing, to where it's like you kind of the ocean's going to be in control, but there's ways that you can navigate it. Am I saying that right? Like, how I relay that to surfing, like, ocean's in control, but you have a way to navigate that ocean. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. One of our wellness director, Brian, he has a sticker on his water bottle that I love that says, "Relax, nothing's in control." And I love that, because the reality is, we have to learn how to allow, right? In the big scheme of things, we don't have a lot of control, but we do have control over ourselves and our choices, and that's okay. And so that's where our focus needs to be. What am I going to do with what I've been presented? And I like to say that there's this thing, it's from a book called The Shack, but he talks about expectation versus expectancy. And expectation is like a hard set of rules. Like, you're going to do this, this, and this. And expectancy is more fluid. It's like, we're going to be in relationship together. Expectations are like, you have a seed of unknown origin, and you're like, this is a fucking watermelon. And you plant it in the ground, and a cactus grows, and you're like, what do I do with this? And you're pissed. Expectancy is like having a seed of unknown origin, planting it in the ground, and when a cactus grows, you're like, how do I love this? And I think that all of us need to learn how to live.
Right. And to all those listening and watching, again, we're not pros at this, right? We might be better at it than maybe you who's listening, and that rings in your ears.
Well, you won't surf, Nick, so you're not good at this at all. Buddy and I will come to South Carolina, and we'll do some surfing.
I'll come.
He'll cheer us on from the beach.
Yeah. Well, Buddy. Hey, first of all, Buddy dresses up.
Buddy's scuba. Buddy's not afraid of the water. Yeah.
Whoa.
He's a combat diver. Not
Hold on.
Combat scuba certified, as in the Army Special Forces. So he's kind of a big deal.
See, I'm more with Nick on this than
because he spent time under the water.
I'm under the water with the sharks, and under the water with the sharks, they just swim by you and go, all right, cool, dude, bye, and they bounce
until they get curious.
On top of the water, kind of splashing around
yeah.
like
It's
a
not-
dead fish,
like a seal.
hurt,
Yeah.
like a hurt seal. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like we were talking about.
I would
this
have
with-
to.
It's
I'd have
funny
to-
though. That we're talking about Stephanie, real quick. Sharks. Like,
Yeah,
have
give us
you
a
have you
shark
seen
story.
a bunch of them? Give us the shark
Because
story.
there are pictures of sharks biting surfboards.
Yeah.
My favorite shark story is I was sitting on my
Punch a
longboard
shark in the face.
out here at this beach a couple of summers ago, and you kind of sit with your legs, dangling out to the side, and I felt something
Little fishies.
come underneath of my leg, between my surfboard and my legs. So I scooped my legs in because that's the normal response. And now I have like a 3-foot baby shark just flapping around, which I'm like smacking it, and I'm like, like, just release your legs. It'll probably swim away. But it takes me, I don't know, 30 seconds for my brain to go like, oh, you're holding the shark here with your legs. So you should probably release it. And the
Can we
shark's,
go back,
what
can
did
we
I
go back to how you just described catching a shark with your feet?
Yeah,
Like some type of eagle with the talons? Like you just...
I don't think
Yeah. Where do you get your
And that,
pedicure
see,
done? How the
and
hell
that-
do you do that?
Yeah, see, that's where it's kind of like being in prison. That's how you get the sharks to not mess with you, is you find one of them and you fucking catch it with your feet, and you're like, look, bitch,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go.
But
Tell
you better
your
go tell your
boys.
buddies.
Don't come with me at your peril, at your
Yeah.
own discretion. But I'm gonna get you I'm gonna catch you with my surfboard. You are now, see, and that's why there's a difference. I'm not catching any sharks with my feet. They're just chewing on me. See, that's the part though. I gotta have clear water. I'm like Nick. I gotta be able to see what's below me.
And,
Yeah.
and again,
Holy fuck! I didn't know both of you were like that.
again,
On top of the water, Nick. Come on. I would have
Dude,
to
like when I go to Virginia
gotta
Beach,
tell you,
that water is like pretty, like you can't see, and I'll like take the kayak and go like out, and it's a little nerve wracking out there because you're like dolphins are swimming close to you, whatever. That's cool. It's a myth when dolphins are there, sharks aren't there. That's bullshit. But like,
they
dude,
got
I'll
a
go
guy
out
that
in the
flies
ocean
a
all the
drone
time.
in Southern California up and down and showing the sharks like just following some
I've
dude.
seen that video.
no,
That was in Florida though too. That was in Florida
Yeah.
too, and there was like hundreds of them just right off the pier. Is that the video
I
you're
will tell
talking
you-
about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I were to
I
go
don't know, man.
surfing, I would have to first.
But a shark attack, I think,
would
is
have
like pretty. Go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
There would definitely be some deep breathing involved and some fear management.
It's like,
would
am
be
I worried
going
about
on.
crashing the surfboard? No, I'm not
Jesus.
worried about that. I'm worried about me falling off my surfboard because there was a 16-foot great white saying "fuck this."
Oh
you know,
my
like,
God.
like you're off, right? And like,
All right.
again, a shark.
Well,
When we come to South Carolina to do this program, if we do, I'll be the one in the water
They've
surfing,
already-
and
they've already-
Buddy
I'll
will be
do-
joining Nick on the beach now
Buddy
too.
and I will
cheering me
do a
on.
live podcast.
I'll be
from it.
underwater taking video
Yeah.
of you, dude. It's good. I'm good with that.
Oh, I like that. I like that because I've never surfed, and yeah, I would love to try it. So yeah,
I'll do a live podcast from it. That'll be my
Chris.
contribution.
Oh, Chris, you grew up surfing. Cool.
Yeah.
Can you still surf, Chris?
Yeah, in San Diego, whatever. Like, they just
Yes.
did it
Oh,
with
Chris can
one-
still surf. Okay.
No, he
Okay.
can't. Bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah,
You're like
Well,
one of
yeah,
those guys that talks about their like college days in football or high school days. It's over.
glory
Not
days.
that good anymore.
Speaking of that, my 25th high school reunion's coming up, and I'm going. I'm going to wear my jersey. No, I don't know. But so
Class clown of 1998, right?
No, 99. Class clown
Yep,
1999.
sorry.
All right, voted on by my peers. All right, not a self-proclaimed title. All right, I got
Yep.
awarded that. All right, so I am funny.
See, as a good
What it
friend,
is.
Nick, I should know that, and I did.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you should
And
definitely go to that reunion.
Right, for sure. They need some humor there. You have, I have to stand the shark thing, Stephanie. I got to. All right, like my dad was telling me, he's like, a baby great white is like 10 feet, like a juvenile great white's 10 feet, man. And it's got an 18-inch mouth, right? So all that great white has to do as a juvenile be like, oh, I wonder how that leg tastes, right? And it bites it, and it's like, oh, I hate the way humans taste. And that's how they try to sell. Like, oh, they don't like the way humans taste. It doesn't matter. You're missing half your freaking leg now. Like, this should just like.
Yeah, but the
You'll
probability.
get it back. The
I don't think the
probability of
probability-
a shark attack goes up significantly when you go in the water.
No, a shark attack. That is accurate. That is accurate.
Goes up 100%.
I'm saying, like,
in general, like anyway, and I didn't want to like we're talking about warriors. Like nobody's gonna want to like sign up now because they're like we're talking about sharks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
That's why I kept it. I kept my stuff to myself until you brought it out of me, Dave. Maybe you should.
Yeah.
shut
Hey,
up.
Melissa Rodriguez says, "What am I watching? You're
Yeah,
watching.
we don't know either.
You're watching Three Idiots, and then you're watching Stephanie, who works for the Warrior Surf Foundation, and we're trying to promote her. Not doing a very good job telling people not to get in the water. All right, but
I'm saying get in the water all day.
That's what you're watching. But you can rewind it, Melissa, and you can watch the whole dumpster fire if you want, and just subscribe to us. See, Richard, Charlie don't surf, right? So that's right. The little Apocalypse Now line, very good, very well. But yeah, let's. Stephanie, before I do the AAR, what did we not cover about the Warrior Surf Foundation and anything else you wanted to get out about it? But those of you listening, go donate to the Warrior Surf Foundation and help save a veteran or a spouse, because spouses struggle too, all right, dealing with our shit. So like get them a little time out of the way and go enjoy some nature. So Stephanie, cover whatever we forgot to cover, didn't cover. What did your boss tell you to say? Say whatever you want.
Oh gosh, my boss. I think I'm my own boss. It's terrifying.
Nice.
There's absolutely no one to report to but me.
Nice.
I think the only thing you didn't cover is that no one's going to get eaten by a great white shark if they come to our program. So, let's anybody that's afraid.
Probably an important thing to mention.
So if you are afraid of sharks, we got shark bands you can put on. They're pretty much proven to keep the sharks away from you. So that's a good.
Whoa, go back. What?
Yeah.
What is it? How would you just leave that out? Like
this is like Buddy's conspiracy. You left all kinds of shit that's important.
Yeah.
Well, I was so interested in the drama about the great white sharks. I just
There's what? What are these things?
Yeah, they're called shark bands. They are.
I've heard of those.
Magnetic.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, they're yes.
No, you haven't.
Dude, I'm a beach bum, bro. I've been going to the beach since I was a child.
I hear what a shark band is? Shut up.
Yeah.
Stephanie's going to explain it, but I absolutely do.
No, you just want to sound important.
And you should know this, buddy, as a scuba diver. Like, you should know this.
Combat diver.
I don't need them.
Anyway.
Sharks. They don't care.
They're really
strong. Go for it, Stephanie.
Don't put them near.
Tell them how they can protect themselves in the ocean.
He's trying to.
They need it.
He's trying to.
God damn it. Shut the fuck up.
This is like every
Oh, I love it.
Stephanie, what is a shark band, please? Thank you.
A shark band.
Magnet. I'm gonna tell you guys. You can get on Google later.
No, okay, we're good.
No. They're just magnets that are on a band, and they strap on like a watch. You can go on your ankle or your wrist, and that really strong magnet is like very repulsive to sharks because they don't like the way it feels. It messes up their electrical sensors that they use to seek prey, and so they've been pretty well. So few veterans that won't get in the water without them, and so far so good.
I would be one of those for surfing that would not get into water without them. But I'm not going to lie. The fact that exists does make me feel better. That, and I would go surfing if you were surfing around just because I knew that you could catch them if they came up.
Right.
That's it.
Like Stephanie.
Yeah. Now I would
truly.
Yeah.
This podcast, and we'll talk after the show. I'm truly blown away, buddy, that like you don't get in the water like that either.
I'm down there with you. Know what we do if a shark comes by us?
You're legitimately not as cool as I thought you were. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
You poke them with something or punch them in the face. It's like that's what you do.
Yeah.
Like legitimately.
Or those guys, have you watched those YouTube videos with those guys that are swimming with sharks? They just like tap them on the on the nose and just push them away.
Yeah, legitimately, you just hit them. And they go, well,
I don't know about hitting them. Yeah, but anyway.
They don't like that because most of the things in the ocean don't hit them. Because they lack the opposable thumb to do this to a shark. And they're like, whoa, what is that? That's not something I want to mess with. What is this crazy, like, half octopus with 4 appendages poking me in the face? Yeah.
Yeah.
But
what a show, man. This was fun.
Yeah.
Shark
Yeah.
fins. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
That is. I'm down with surfing now. Look at that.
I'm about to get
Good for
rock
you.
and roll with these shark bands.
Now I'll go with you surfing, Dave.
Yeah.
Before, not so much. Now,
Right.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. So for the AAR, right, I was trying to take some notes from Buddy, but it turns out the notes were after Buddy was done with his conspiracy that Lee Harvey Oswald's brother blew up half of downtown Nashville. All right. But what he forgot all kinds of important shit but then we did determine that they are related through genetics from the earlobe that Stephanie pointed out. So it definitely was Lee Harvey Oswald's, offspring and or in the same genetic line that decided that his 5G sucked. So he blew up AT&T, right? And 60 other buildings. It's just what happened. And then we failed to get an honesty cap that was in the script because Buddy couldn't do that either. I
feel like that would have been Dave's job.
Like we're gonna get Dave to talk about something.
I'm not gonna give an honesty cap. Nope, that's not my job.
No,
Dave needed to come in and do Big Macs. I was doing hamburgers.
Yeah, exactly. We go back to the McDonald's reference, which again, if you're sarcastic at the window, you will get fired and put on the grill. Speaking from experience. All right, so you cannot be sarcastic with the guest and keep saying, "Excuse me, can you repeat that?" Even though you heard them perfectly fine, right? And then they start to get upset, and then whatever. That's back in the
hashtag clap.
Hashtag clap 1999. I was 17, but and then Stephanie, the Navy vet, the Submariner. All right, she came on and the nuke tech on a submarine. The pilot.
No.
The pilot who failed, the Navy SEAL. That's the three things in the Navy. So it is what it is.
Don't let them get away with that, Stephanie. Tell them how it is.
But no, awesome that from the Warrior Surf Foundation. So go to www.warriorsurf.org. Again, they've sent about 700 veterans and spouses or caregivers through the program, and it costs about $5,000 per veteran to get them through the program, and it's 12 weeks long where they have to graduate and they go through mental health or behavioral health training, as well as going through learning how to surf. So if you want to donate money to an organization, there's thousands, there's 78,000 nonprofits for veterans. All right, this is another one that you've seen who runs it. She's her own boss, like she said, and started by a Marine. So if you want to help, all right, give some money to the Warrior Surf Foundation so that they can keep doing what they're doing and helping people get exercise their demons out through holistic healing, through nature. So please go donate to them. And then also, because Dave probably won't remember, see that little thing going across the screen, forpatriots.com/VTTGW. All right, make sure you go there. They're a proud partner of Veteran Trash Talk. They do outdoor survival food, generators, that kind of stuff, and they're giving us a discount. So get after it. And yes,
I had a good punchline for them, but we got to talk about that next Friday.
Yeah, and then we do have to
Saturday.
We do have to let Buddy actually talk again, because we've been playing this little thing before and after the show that is for Warriors for the Outdoors that he never explains. So, Buddy, what is Warrior for the Outdoors and what are they running?
So we've had Jimmy Bates from Warriors from the Outdoors on the show before, and they're Jimmy. They're doing they have an annual drawing for 2 different rifles with like their little raffle. The drawing is on March 16th, and they're so you can go if you look at the flyer that's going to come on at the end of the show, it has Jimmy's all the information for it. So give to Warriors for the Outdoors. They also do hunting, fishing. You can have your whole squad or a platoon or whatever meet up at Jimmy's spot and just do a reunion thing. So it's a pretty cool situation that they got going on in South Carolina. But again, if you're watching the show, just got to pause it, look at the information and donate. Like, Nick has said it several times. If you're gonna spend your money anyway, you might as well spend it with people like Warriors for the Outdoors or warriorsurf.org. Give it to those people, because they're the ones that are gonna get the most bang for your out of your buck for the community that you care about. So.
Oh, so well said,
Oh,
buddy.
that was well done. At first, I was like,
That was well done.
You're struggling selling this. Like, I
Hey,
don't want
you
to
know what? It's
shit
like
to it.
it's
So
like
you got a little bit.
It's like jumping on a surfboard, right?
We're doing a serving thing. Once we're done with the show, Steph, you stay on. We're gonna discuss this.
You start to gain some momentum, and it starts to flow naturally. Ooh, look at that!
But hey, that being
Question
said,
metaphors.
Warrior for the Outdoors, yeah, Jimmy, we love Jimmy, and they're in South Carolina too. So you guys maybe cross pollinate. Maybe that'll help out a little bit. Also, Stephanie, for your organization, like we do for Jimmy, we do for anybody that's been on the show. If there's anything that you want us to promote, it doesn't cost you anything, right? Like if you got a flyer for a fundraiser, let us know, send it to us, we'll send it out. And with Gruntworks and Veteran Trash Talk, we're at about 900,000, so it can get out to a lot of people. But yeah, that's it for the show. Dave, close us out.
Yeah, Stephanie, any final words?
No, thank you guys so much for having me on. I've had a blast.
But you were never on a submarine.
No.
Damn it! You should have been.
Not even on like a tour.
Yeah, like not even like you visited one.
And I'm on, but
Submariner. Boom.
Submariner. Boom.
Done.
Got it. Yeah.
Oh. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you missed the show and you're tuning in late, go to veterantrashtalk.com. It's got the links to everything, including our store, shop.veterantrashtalk.com. I'm wearing quit being a trigger pansy. It's our most sold shirt. So it's not political. Just buy one and walk around the airport, mall, whatever you do.
It's a message.
It's a great conversation starter. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Boom. We're out.
Thanks for watching and listening. And now a word from our sponsor, 4 Patriots. In a startling description, the UN food chief warned the world with the words, knocking on famine's door. He called what we're facing a perfect storm of a perfect storm. And he's not alone. Barron's published that a food shortage could be coming, even in the U.S. Farmers see it too. John Boyd Jr., a fourth-generation farmer, told Fox News that we're going to see empty food shelves in the coming months. That's why getting survival food is more important than ever now. Create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits. It's not ordinary food. We're talking good for 25 years super survival food, hand-packed in a family-owned facility in the USA and giving jobs to over 200 Americans. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners. You can make these meals in less than 20 minutes. Just add boiling water, simmer, and serve. And right now, for the next few days, listeners of the Veteran Trash Talk podcast will get 10% off their first order at 4patriots.com by using the code VTTGW. Go to 4patriots.com and use the code VTTGW to start your stockpile today.